Welcome to Forthright, the podcast with, for and by women writers.
We have some brilliant guest writers lined up for you this season, covering a wide range of genres and experience.
We hope you enjoy it.
Hello, welcome to the Forthright podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Anna. And today we're absolutely delighted to have Lizzie Damilola Blackburn. Hi, Lizzie.
Hi.
So Lizzie is a British-Nigerian charity worker turned author who grew up in South London and now lives with her husband and young son in Milton Keynes. Her best-selling debut novel, Yinka, Where Is Your Husband?, was selected by Nobel Peace Prize laureate Malala Yousafzai and as Literati book club pick, and was one of the Oscar-nominated actresses Taraji P. Henson's top 5 books that made a difference. She still pinches herself to this day. Lizzie was a runner-up for the Diverse Book Awards in 2023. The Rewrite is her second novel.
I'm so intrigued to hear your reading now from The Rewrite because I haven't quite finished reading Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? And I'm absolutely loving it. So yeah, I'm excited for this. So I'll just read the blurb. 2 exes, 1 deadline. Can they make it to the end? Temi and Wale meet in London. They flirt, date, meet each other's friends. Then they break up, and Wale goes on a reality dating show. Instead of giving in to heartbreak, Temi throws herself into her dream, writing. She's within touching distance of a book deal that would solve all her problems, but publishers keep passing on her novel, and bills still have to be paid. So when the opportunity to ghostwrite a celebrity memoir arises, Temi accepts. And of course, the celebrity turns out to be Wale. Will Temi and Wale repeat the patterns of their past, or can they write a whole new story? Oh, so if you could just sort of give us the context of the part that you're going to read from.
Yeah, so I'm going to read from chapter 1.
Perfect.
Yeah. So chapter 1, 11 weeks later, August. My heart can't take another rejection. This thought keeps coming to mind as I wait in a quiet restaurant in Covent Garden. My agent emailed me to catch up over lunch. So I'm assuming she has news for me. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. Water? A smiley waiter fills the 2 glasses on the table. The aroma of freshly made buttery waffles, which under normal circumstances would make me hungry, is now making me sick to my stomach. And then a lump the size of a cough sweet lodged itself in my throat. Directly ahead of me on the widescreen TV is my ex-boyfriend Wale. A rerun episode of The Villa, The Reunion, is on. My lips quiver, but I manage to hold it together. 6 months, down the drain, just like that. The producers play a reel of Wale's highlights from the 5 weeks he was on the show before being voted off by the public. Not that I was keeping track. They set it to the tune of Mariah Carey's Heartbreaker, which couldn't be more fitting. They show his entrance. What's happening, people? My name is Wale and I'm from South London. His first connection was with a Geordie lass called Sally. Yeah, you're a sweet one still. They show how he breaks her heart before swiftly coupling up with Talisha and doing the exact same thing. This happens quite a few times, going from one girl to the other, going from piping hot to ice cube cold, until he's paired up with Kelechi, a stunning British-Nigerian model with rich chocolate skin and big eyes. When they hit it off, I'd switched off. I could no longer watch as the love of my life fell into the arms of somebody else. But despite avoiding the show, it was almost impossible to dodge Black Twitter. Every day, Wale and Kelechi, or Walechi as they were called, inundated my newsfeed. There were hashtag couple goals, hashtag Black love, hashtag Yoruba and Igbo king and queen, until one day a different hashtag was trending. Hashtag get Wale out, hashtag F-boy, hashtag Wale is trash, spin him. It seemed as though Mr. Pretty Boy had broken Kelechi's heart too. And I'll stop there.
Oh, God, I could have carried on listening to that forever. That was brilliant. I'm so excited to be able to read the whole thing when it comes out. I mean, this is quite a different kind of idea from Yinka, Where's Your Husband? Where did the inspiration for this one come from?
So it actually birthed out of a very long period of like struggling to write, because when I wrote Yinka, it was a totally different context. I wrote it when I didn't have an agent, and it took me over 5 years to write it as well, so I had a lot of time. Whereas with this book, I had to write it in a contract. I didn't have as much time, and I was really struggling to come up with a concept, an idea, characters that would kind of have that would give it the same appeal and passion that Yinka did.
Yeah.
And I think it was maybe back in 2021, 2022, during the summer, I was procrastinating when I should have been writing, and I was watching Love Island, and I remember feeling so like enthused by it, and I was like, if only I could like feel just as enthused like when it comes to writing my second book. And I thought, oh wait a minute, what if I kind of incorporate like a reality TV dating show element to, my story? And I kind of like ran the idea of my agent and my editor, and we brainstormed, and they came up with the ghostwriting aspect, and it kind of evolved from there.
Oh yeah, it's just yeah. It's very exciting. I can't get my words out. It's funny actually, because we were talking to, I can't remember who it is because my perimenopausal brain is like a sieve, but we were interviewing another writer who was talking about watching reality TV as kind of to help with characterization and things like that. So it's amazing that you've kind of got a whole book out of it.
I think it's a great idea as well, if it means yes, it kind of also validifies watching quite a lot of shit telly as well, doesn't it? And that's like,
exactly,
it's all research. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, you don't feel guilty.
And then so the as far as if I've remembered right, that Yinka's character came out of a blog that you'd written?
Yes, it did. So initially it was a short story on a blog that I had. And then I went to this blogging workshop, and I just kind of wanted to get some feedback on my writing. So I met this author there, and I shared my blog with her. And she was really drawn to Yinka's character. And she said, do you know what? I feel like her story would make a great novel. And so I took on the challenge, but quite blindly, because I didn't know, what it takes to write a novel. So I think for the first year and a half, I was just basically winging it and, starting again. And it wasn't until I read this book called Story Engineering by Larry Brooks, which is when I had light bulb moments, and I realized, oh, okay, a novel is crafted, and in order for it to be engaging, there needs to be compelling characters and structure and themes and an inciting incident. So all the things I didn't have in my initial draft. And so from that point onwards, I started to kind of invest in myself and in my writing. So, attended workshops, reading more, doing online courses. And over time, Yinka's story, naturally evolved. And then 5+ years later, got an agent and got published. And I'm here today.
So with the difference between Yinka and the rewrite then, because you were saying before about circumstances being different when you were writing Yinka, but also, yes, kind of coming to it in a different way and then kind of creating structure around your writing. And so was Yinka and the rewrite, was it a 2-book deal then when Yinka was published? Or have you...
Yeah.
So with then having that, you're saying pressure for being under contract for the second one, did you feel that there was things that you'd learned from Yinka or ways of being able to write to structure that then you incorporated into the rewrite, or did that feel like, because it was a different story entirely as well, you were kind of coming at that afresh as well, I guess?
Yeah, it's a good question. When I was writing Yinka, I learned loads, and especially when I started to work with my editor, she was brilliant. And I feel like it was a double-edged sword, because in one way it did improve my writing, but on the other hand, it did kind of, when it came to write the rewrite, I was kind of stuck in editor mode because I would think about my editor's notes and, you know, what she would say. And so I would spend a lot of time, like, just kind of rewriting sentences, paragraphs, like making minor details and adjustments and tweaks, and all that is not relevant when it comes to the first draft. You just really need to get the story down.
Yeah.
So I think I wasted a lot of time trying to, you know, produce a first draft. So now I'm working on my third book, and I'm a lot quicker than how I was before.
Yeah, so that must be a really, I guess it's all valuable experience, isn't it? Kind of the everything that you went through, learning the craft to kind of get Yinka to where it was, but then that's kind of almost would you say stifled your creativity a little bit with the rewrite?
Yeah, and also I would say that at one point I actually questioned myself. Like, I wondered whether I only had one story in me, because, you know, Yinka's voice had been in my head for over 5 years, and she was all that I knew, and I was very attached to her, and you know, I loved her so much. And so to kind of like create a whole new world from scratch, you know, new characters, new setting, a new plot, I found very difficult, and I had to really like overcome a lot of like self-doubt, and also try to kind of block out the noise as well. So because Yinka did, you know, got a great reception, I was kind of feeling that internal pressure that, you know, people are going to compare the rewrite with Yinka, and they're going to come with like certain expectations, and there's a lot of like internal dialogue that was going in my head while I was writing the rewrite. And I think when readers do read it, they will probably see a bit of that in Temi's character, because she does go through a period of time where she's like struggling as a writer. But at the heart of the book is all about, you know, embracing the journey and realizing that success is not just found in the destination, but in the process, in the journey itself.
So how are you finding writing book 3 then? How's that going?
Yeah, so again, it's a different context, because now I have a son. And now I'm having to basically like squeeze writing where I can.
Yes.
And I think this time I'm giving myself a lot more grace, and I now only write when, because before I would try to write every single day.
Yeah.
But now I write according to my energy and mental state levels. So if I had a really tough day and, you know, I don't have it in me, then it's okay not to write for the day.
Yeah.
And like, for example, like when I put my son down for a nap, before I would try to squeeze in writing during that time, that 2-hour time. But sometimes, like, now I've realized, you know what, if I need a nap, I'm going to have a nap. And then hopefully I'll have the energy to then write in the evening when I put him down. So, I'm giving myself a lot more grace this time round.
You are doing a pretty amazing job as well. You've got a young child and writing a third book. I think that, I think it's also kind of recognising the real triumph in all of that as well. And so when you do kind of have those slots to write, do you have you planned what you want to write within those time frames, or do you see what happens? You know, does it kind of are you planning it, or are you kind of seeing where your pen takes you, as it were?
Yeah. So normally I'm a planner, and for the rewrite, I remember like planning like each chapter. But for this book, I've got a synopsis. I had to send one to my agent and editor, and then there's one romance author called Nina Harrington. And she does a great course about, you know, how to write a rom-com. And as part of that, she has a PDF about, which includes like a structure you can use when it comes to writing a rom-com. So I'm kind of using that as my guideline.
Yeah.
And I'm giving myself the freedom to let inspiration take its course when I do sit down to write. So I have a loose framework of where I want to go, but in terms of how I get there and what happens in the scene, in each scene and kind of like, letting inspiration do its work.
That's quite liberating as well. I find, if you're not writing kind of in a really formulaic way, that so if you've got that bit of kind of creative juice left in your bank, that you can then see where your story takes you at that point.
Yeah, and it's also quite funny as well, like just seeing like where the story does take me, and some of the ideas are kind of like, I know they won't make it into the final draft, but I'm just going with it really. And again, like where I don't have the information, I need to like maybe do some research. I'm now better at kind of putting like placeholders.
Yeah.
Rather than like spending time going to the internet to
falling down a rabbit hole of research.
Yeah. And away from the research as well.
And so, I mean, your characters in Yinka, Where's Your Husband are just so brilliant, like so relatable, and they just feel really real, I suppose. So do you do kind of a lot of work on character development, or did they kind of come sort of ready formed to you from, I don't know, people you know or so on?
Yeah. So I tend to take inspirations from TV.
Yeah.
So like with like Yinka's mum and her aunties, that came from watching Nollywood, so Nigerian movies. And with like Yinka and her friends, I was inspired by a hit TV show called Insecure, which was on HBO. And a little bit from, myself and my friends. But yeah, it's kind of like a mixture really. But I don't really, for this third book, I have kind of written like a bio for the protagonist and her love interest.
Yeah.
But for Yinka, I didn't really do that. And I think it's because when I first started writing it, I was just kind of winging it.
Yeah.
So it kind of like evolved from there in my head.
But I just think that's really interesting, that how it, that those things can work in different ways, and it doesn't have to be kind of a set way of developing a character. That's kind of quite freeing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering as well, when you were saying about kind of taking inspiration from like your peers and the people around you, and I know that with Yinka, you'd said that, the inspiration was kind of based on experience of a relationship-obsessed society. When you have people who are close to you reading it, do people kind of think, oh, yeah, that's me. Oh, yeah, kind of Lizzie's definitely written me into that bit, or she was... Do people see themselves in your books at all? And you have to kind of explain it's not them.
I think more so what I get is people thinking I'm Yinka. Like, I've even like done book events where people have actually addressed me as Yinka.
No.
And I have to say like, no, I'm not Yinka. That's not me. And I have a few friends who actually wanted to be like, the characters in the book. So I have one friend who wants to be Rachel. I was like, oh no, sorry, that's not you.
Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about process then, and around kind of working around life and finding these kind of slots to be able to do things as well, and we were just saying about how that there might be, you've kind of got a constraint, but there might be kind of some spontaneity in the writing as you're doing it. But how would you kind of measure like success within that kind of moment of sitting down and wriing? Would it be writing a scene, or do you have a word count? Or at what point, other than obviously like your son waking up, or just like totally needing to just go to bed yourself, at what point do you think, nailed it for today?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think for me is remaining focused. I think one of the things I struggle with is getting distracted.
Yeah.
So something can pop into mind, like, oh, it's someone's birthday and to buy them a present, or I don't know, like, I have a habit of going on to, like, Google have this thing where they just have like a continuous news feed, and like it's never ending. And then sometimes I find it hard to pull myself out of that.
Yeah.
So for me, if I've been able to stay focused, to not, go on the internet, and even if I don't complete a chapter, but I've done enough, I will call that a successful, writing period.
Yes, I think that the kind of like chasing a bit of research, which then ends up like looking at people that used to go to primary school with. So I find that's where my research sometimes takes me, and I have to just turn the internet off entirely. Otherwise, yes, I've lost kind of 2 or 3 hours of just kind of buggering about.
I was thinking then as well of like some of the fabulous scenes in Yinka, like the engagement party and on kind of the rooftop, and then like some of the opulence of the wedding. And I wondered, do you have to do like a Pinterest board or something for things like that?
Oh, you know what? I don't. It's just more so my husband. He's more of a Pinterest person. He's a filmmaker, so
he's really visual.
That as his, like his storyboard. But no, I don't actually. I think I did try it, but it just wasn't for me. I think I kind of like to imagine things in my head or to write things down.
And just thinking, like you'd said about with Yinka, that you then started to kind of take writing more seriously, or take yourself more seriously as a writer, and joining doing different courses and so on. Do you share your work with others at an earlier stage, or is your editor the first person to read your novel?
Yes, my editor is the first person to read my novel, and my husband might read snippets of it.
Yeah.
But I'm quite protective over my work, and even though my husband is amazing and he's very good at giving feedback, I'm still writing, I'm still creative, so I can be quite, I'm not sensitive is the right word to use, but like if I feel like because sometimes I can read into maybe his body language, or maybe like if I feel like he's asking too many questions, then I can get in my head and be like, oh, it's not good at all, is it?
Yeah.
And so I guess to protect, myself, and knowing that I still got loads to do when it comes to the writing process, and I need to kind of stay motivated.
Yeah.
I just allow my editors to read, the drafts, and when it comes towards the end, my husband can see, larger chunks, but then he tends to read the actual final proof.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so with your editor as well, will they read early drafts, or do you wait until you've kind of wrestled it into something that you think's not complete, but like is more where you want it to be?
Yeah, early draft. I feel like I thrive when I get feedback.
Yeah.
Because when I get feedback, it's like, okay, I've got something to work with.
Yeah.
And so, it's also a bit of an incentive to try and get the draft done as quick as possible, so I can get that feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think, so yes, like my agent will read will kind of read maybe kind of a draft 2 or 3 times max. I think that's probably because she'll kind of have an idea in her head about how she thinks it should be, and I guess it kind of gets muddied if there's kind of multiple drafts going around, which means that I think I spend a lot of time deliberating over stuff before it goes out, for like that total fear of it going out into the world. So I think I think having that kind of, I think it works, both ways work, but I think it'd be interesting kind of having an early intervention with an editor. And also I guess that's somebody who as well, as opposed to somebody who is close to you or somebody who loves you, is ultimately they want yours to be the best, most sellable book. So that feedback is going to be kind of considered in the way that the changes that are made are only going to be to improve the book, I guess.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't even wait until I've got a complete draft. So if I feel like, sometimes I'll probably send it when I have 30,000 words or done half.
Okay.
Or sometimes I've got to that point where I just can't do it anymore because I don't know where the story is going anymore. I need like help. Then I'll send it then.
So with that help as well, would that be a conversation about how the story develops from that kind of 30,000 words on?
It'll be kind of like, their general views of what I've written so far. And sometimes, because when I do a first draft, when I do a second draft, I never like work my first draft. I always start a new document.
Oh, dear.
So when I get their feedback, like I would get like a light bulb moment, and then I'll kind of like start again, but using what I've written as like kind of like it's kind of like my ideas dumping.
Like your kind of base material stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I always start again until it gets to a point where I feel like it's a solid document to be working from.
Oh, I always thought for me, it's, I don't know, I think the kind of the blank page, sitting there with a document that's got 0 words, the temptation would so be to just like, you know, copy paste the whole thing. So it didn't feel as daunting to be like starting from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah. I might keep the first, you know, few sentences and the first paragraph. Yeah, but I think everything else, I'll
but
just kind of like rewrite it.
I think that's what's just brilliant about writers is that, you know, there's no one way of doing it. We've all got our own
exactly
ways in that. So yeah, and some work better than others, but it's all a learning process. We were having a conversation as well. Was it last week with Rosanna about how each book is kind of like having a different child, and you sort of have to learn the whole thing over again from scratch.
Yeah, to make no assumptions because they're never going to be the same.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
So I know that you said when you'd finished Yinka and then you were thinking, oh, maybe I've only just got one book in me, and you clearly hadn't, and now you're on book 3. Do you wait until you have finished this novel to then sit down and think what the next one might be, or do you already have like little kind of sparks of ideas of what book 4 might be?
So the frustrating thing is that when I was writing book 2, loads of different ideas came to mind.
Yeah.
I think at some point I started a new book, and then I sent it to my editor. I was like, oh, what do you think? Then I got bored of that book, and then went back to the other one.
Yeah.
So what I tend to do now is that I keep a bank of ideas. And because I'm now working with an editor and an agent, it's a different process where the idea that I come up with they also have to like it as well.
Yeah.
So there might be some ideas which they veto, and there might be a few which they like. And then I would send them a synopsis. They would provide me their feedback, and I will kind of like take it from there. But yeah, I do keep a bank of ideas.
And do you think about them in terms of them being novels, or do you ever consider writing short stories with some of your ideas?
I think more so novels, yeah. Yeah, I think it will be cool to write a short story collection at some point, but I think at the moment, my heart is with writing novels.
Yeah. Well, lucky us as well.
Yeah. And you said it's February that the rewrite comes out, so we haven't got too long to wait.
Yes, February. Yeah, I haven't got a date yet, but it'll be next year, Feb.
So I can't believe it, but we have pretty much come to the end of our time with you today. So I know could feel like we could carry on with this for quite a while, but sort of as a final question, just in terms of anybody who's listening who might be starting out as a writer, what advice would you give to them?
So my advice then is so when it comes to the first draft, just get the story down. Like, don't spend too long trying to make it perfect, because you'll spend forever trying to do that. And it's, you can't kind of like, write and publish a book if you don't have a first draft, if you don't go through that process. Yeah. And I would say also invest in yourself as well. Like, if, that was one of the biggest turning points in my career, is investing in myself. And there's a lot of like good resources online, a lot of good free resources, I should say.
Yeah.
From Readsy to Jericho Writers, and they provide like, whether it's blogs, articles or YouTube content on how to improve your craft.
Yeah.
And I would say also give yourself, a bit of grace. Like writing is hard, it's difficult, and it's time consuming and all consuming sometimes. And so when you do have a bad day, if you don't meet your word count, like it's okay. Like it's not the end of the world. And there's always tomorrow.
Yeah,
you can always just try again.
I think that's a really lovely place to leave it as well. There's always tomorrow. Invest in yourself and also be kind on yourself as well. Thank you, Lizzie. If any of our listeners want to find you, are you on socials? And if so, what's your handles?
Yes, so I'm on Instagram, Lizzie Damilola Blackburn, and Twitter, Damilola Lizzie.
Brilliant. Well, it's been an absolute joy to speak to you, and we're very, very much looking forward to finding out more about your third novel and your second and potentially a fourth. Thank you, Lizzie.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Forthright podcast.
Check out our website, forthright.uk, for further writing resources and tips.
We hope you're enjoying listening along to all the chats that we have with our fabulous author guests. If you are enjoying it, please, please, please give us 5 stars and leave a review to help us reach more people.
And if you're not enjoying them, then please just don't bother. Thanks very much. Bye.